Right away, Myro! Pray that piano, you filthy monkey. Oh. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo. Everybody give it up for Myro the monkey. If you are English and a foreign scumbag, his name is Milo. But here on Painting Goo, his name is Myro, Myro the monkey, who prays the beautiful tunage for the filthy mortars and the beloved Japanites as we prepare for today's Painting Goo. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Good boy, Myro. Good boy. Greetings and welcome, Yokoso, to Painting Goo. A glorious day here in Earthrealm. Despite my banishment, I am keeping a positive attitude. Yes. Hi, indeed. Hi. My attitude is positive, despite being relegated from heaven, despite going from being a god of Painting Goo to demigod of Painting Goo, all because somebody can't take the fucking truth. You know that scene with Jack Nicholson? You know? I have consumed much of your Medea since I have arrived in Earthrealm, you filthy mortals. And this Jack Nicholson amuses me. The scene where he brandishes an axe against his female and attempts to convince her to come out of the toilet with said axe. And he says, "Here's Johnny." I love that scene. I love it. It is beautiful. It is an example of a man who has reached his limit. And gods have their limit too. And that is what I see in the Monkey King. As a Japanese god, we are more disciplined, you know, the whole samurai thing. Chinese gods, not so much. I mean, they have a monkey as a god, you know. Do we have a monkey as a god? I don't know. I'll Google it. Is there any Japanese gods that are monkeys? Probably. I bet you it's an ape, though, and not something like a gibbon. Or just a tall chimp. But I digress. The Monkey King was not satisfied with his commission. Everybody was so excited when he commissioned me to do a portrait of the great Monkey King, you know? It's supposed to be like a go-between, a negotiation, a ambassadorial thing between gods, you know? Japan and China has always been kind of full of friction in terms of relationships. Same goes with the gods. Our heavens have quite often conflicted on everything from what shapes swords should be to, you know, how many arrows can you really fire out of a bow in one shot. Japanese tend to stick to like 3 or 4. Fucking Chinese always going with their like 8 or 9. They're just so boastful. But anyway, again, I digress. Commissioning me to do a portrait invigorated everyone. And he ruined it. He ruined it. He rooked a gift horse in the mouth. And he threw a monkey fit. He threw a tantrum. And before you ask, yes, despite God's not needing to shit, that doesn't mean he doesn't throw shit when he's pissed. There was a lot of shit. And it was divine shit. It was that etheric shit, you know? Believe me, that shit stinks and it sticks. It's like fucking trying to chip concrete off the walls. In the hours... Well, I say hours. Time not existing in the heavens, I speak in a way that you can relate to. You know? In the many hours that passed before judgment was passed down, I had to help. I had to help scrape the Monkey King's shit off of the glorious horrors of heaven. It was disgusting. It was demeaning. And it was dishonorable of the highest order. But I did it. Because I am a good god. Now, demigod. Just like I did the painting. Alas! Now I am just caught in reflection of my accursed situation. I started this stream with a positive attitude, and now I am simply dwelling on my banishment from heaven. And it's not even my heaven. But not being allowed into Chinese heaven is quite vexing, you know? Japanese heaven's just not as fun anymore. You know, when you've been a god for a while, you want to branch out, see what the other heavens are like. Norse heaven's great crack. For those of you who don't speak Irish, crack isn't the drug, it means fun. Which the two could be argued are synonymous. But anyway. Enough rambling. Stabberoo. Griffu. Demon Hunteroo. Tuegaroo. Jerusha McBeroo. Jerusha-oo. Welcome, Iokoso, to Paintingu. I hope you are well on this fine day. The weather here is currently quite beautiful. Clear, blue, very blue. And the sun, the glorious light of heaven, as you can see, is beaming brightly. So brightly that you can't see the Mapu. But here on Paintingu, our production quality is so low that sometimes I fear YouTube is simply laughing at me. I love how thrown together my stream looks. I don't think I'll ever change it. Even if I have like a fucking like if I get like proper studio quality shit and all, like, and I can stand and stuff like that, some things may change, you know, but the kind of haphazard thrown together style will always remain. I vow it so. A moment while I descend into a proper Paintingu posture. Ah, glorious. My top knot is now gloriously on display. Right. I am now almost prepared to gather my chi and begin Paintingu. What is this rack of appropriate garb? A demigod cannot wear a beanie and t-shirt. It was but for a moment. I had things to do. I had beverages to concoct. In case you haven't noticed, now that I am only a demigod, I now literally run on coffee. You know? So if the wheeled cripple is watching, send me more coffee. You fat fuck. I don't notice any difference in the cripple's coffee versus my own coffee, to be quite honest. Or maybe I'm just immune to coffee. But I don't think so. There's days where like I don't think I'm like heavily addicted to anything. I can go off shit for like a few days, and then when I have a cup of coffee, I'm like, whoa, shit. And like I only have to put like one spoonful in it, like, but it's going the few days without it, you know. It's kind of like, ugh. I don't get headaches though, which thank fuck. Headaches suck. Much love to all the bitches out there that get migraines. With much practice, some Nippons can pronounce ers too. Much practice. Much practice needed. Pronouncing your ers is most impressive. I know of Raijin and Fujin, Japanese gods of lightning and thunder, but not their physical manifestations. Oh. There's also, I've heard of Roku. Is that a god? I can't remember. Raijin and Fujin. And fucking, like the Japanese mythology and Japanese culture is like so cool in so many ways. But then, just like I said the other day, when you're watching a show like Shogun and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like they really take that whole honor thing like really fucking seriously, like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's a double, like it's a double-edged sword. There's two sides to every coin, like, do you know what I mean? It's like with a culture as like rich and vibrant as, like, do you know what I mean? Like, to do everything to the extreme, the calligraphy, the fucking art in general, their theater, their philosophy, their way of war, their way of living, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I hadn't heard that before actually, because it's not like I'm actually a massive fan of Japanese culture to the point where I've like read up on like what it's like to live in Japan or what it has been like over the centuries to live in Japan or whatever. Like, I've heard of things like shoguns and all the different warring parties and clans and stuff. It actually sounds similar to Irish history, which there's probably some gravy there, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I had this thought yesterday actually that like I genuinely think that not too long ago, because I think history is grabbled, like I think history's been fucked with. There's some fuckery about with history. And I lean towards believing that theory that they added 1,000 years, because it just doesn't feel like that stuff is that far away from us, even though they say it is. But maybe I'm just crazy. But I had this thought where I was like, I think the dark forces, like the great evil, whatever you want to call, like clown world, whatever's behind clown world at the moment, like this seemingly demonic or supernatural negative force, the Sith, that is like seemingly being very pervasive, increasingly pervasive over the last like 10 to 15 years, but lately seems to be, seems like there's going to be pushback, but with pushback comes conflict, increased conflict, so God only knows what's going to happen. But I think a big factor in all this is they don't want the East and the West to live in harmony. And I think they did at one point. I think the East and the West lived in harmony at one point. Bye, my love. Bye. Love you too. And I think that explains a lot of like the history. I think that explains a lot of the ancient history, like why certain buildings are in certain places and why there was seemingly this like unified way of building that like is found everywhere, like the star forts and stuff like that. Like, I think what we refer to as like the East as in Asia and the West as in like the Americas. In between, you have like, the English, essentially, Europe. I think there was like, because I view it from like a flat Earth perspective. Do you know what I mean? Where like migration patterns and like the recent ice age allegedly and stuff like that. Where like I see it as being extremely feasible and makes a lot of sense that you'd have all these like huge swaths of humans, whatever breed they were at the time, but just like parting ways from the ice where they came in from, and then one living in a more like Mediterranean hot to like even desert regions, and then the other one's going for like not too far away from the ice, as in like still having like a winter and shit, like, you know. And just that alone, you're gonna have like happen over time, and like, you know, whatever about the languages and stuff like that, that's obvious as well. Like, I mean, there's people like, just think about it. In Ireland is a small island comparatively to all the other countries in the world, like, you know, apart from what, Jamaica I think is smaller or some shit. Like, I know there's a few of them, Hawaii maybe, I don't know. Like, my geography's terrible. He says with a map behind him. I don't trust that map though. That's the alleged map of the realm. But like, I just like, I like, from watching Shogun and like, you know, even stuff like Samurai Jack, and like over the years being like interested in other cultures, and then you see all this like, you know, all this bullshit with like, you know, terms like cultural appropriation, where it's like, you can't have dreadlocks, you're not black. It's like, not only are they trying to like, you know, compartmentalize us and isolate us and essentially turn cities into like beehives, you know. If I was to try and really boil it down to ideologically what's going on, is like, essentially what these people want is they want cities to just be beehives, you know. I think the reason that is being pushed so heavily is because, like, when you look at what Owen was talking about, the financial stuff, where like, since World War II, whether you believe the Nazis won or not, or like who the Nazis actually were or whatever, like, from my perspective, in my humble opinion, I think the way World War II ended was very like very underhanded and secretive. You know, I think the way World War II ended was like shrouded in what would you call it, like this oh, what's the term for, like, not clandestine activities. I think the end of World War II was just absolutely shrouded, engulfed in clandestine activities, where like, we've spent decades now, loads of people have, being like, what actually happened, or what like, because it's obvious that, like, you know, the level of propaganda is like ridiculous and stuff, and it's like, you know, history is written by the victors and all that shit, like, but it's like, they made up this financial system, and they did it in a very underhanded way, you know. And then you have that example of the French turning around being like, can we have our gold back please, and the Americans being like, no. You know, and then like shit kicked off. And it's like, they have a vested interest in war, in things being argumentative, in things being very conflict driven. Do you know what I mean? They don't have a vested interest in communities like Bartaria or the Living Free movement, or like, you know, fucking, I don't know what other, like, there's loads of them. Like, there's loads of these like independent communities now. Like, do you know what I mean? It's great, like, seeing all this shit. Like, but what I've said this loads of times before, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out, because like, we're only seeing it a lot of the time from like, at best, like 3 or 4 perspectives. Do you know what I mean? Like, as like I wouldn't call myself a truther per se. I agree with Owen. I don't like what truthers have become. They tend to just be fucking negative Nellies. But like, I'm just an honest guy. I'm just a dude, bro, you know? And like, I just call it how I see it and shit. And I see this situation arising where like, we probably are going to get our Judge Dredd style megacities in certain places, but at the same time, there's going to be this like beautifully affluent, spiritually evolved, farming civilized. Oh, somebody has a painful painting. Ooh, glorious. We have some scientists, some science enthusiasts paying for painting goo just to call me a moron. Glorious. I love it. Just as I was talking about they want conflict, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The scientismos. You feckin' moron. The Big Bang created this place from pure, from pure grit. You fucking moron. The Big Bang created this place from pure grit. It's been 166 billion years old. And we're destroying this place. Your sky daddy isn't real. No chance, loser. Science rules. Your sky daddy isn't real. No chance, loser. Oh god. Do you know what? Like, people will probably think I'm fucking like offbeat rocker for saying stuff like this, but like, there's moments in there's a moment in the Lord of the Rings movie that I was only talking to Demon Hunter Bear about there the other day. It's in the third film. Spoiler alert. In the Return of the King of Lord of the Rings, there's pretty much the final battle scene where all the good guys are like standing right outside the gates of Mordor, and unbeknownst to them, Frodo is making his way up the mountain in the background. So they're simply in that moment they have what is essentially like pretty much assured death in front of them. They're all there's only a few of them left after a massive war, and they're staring death in the face, and the only shot they have is this tiny forest elf who they've been told has been caught and killed, and they have been shown not proof, but like good. They've been given a good argument as to that he might be dead, like, because the mouth of Sauron like throws the vest at him and all. It's like, okay, well, how did they get a hold of the vest if it's, like simple logic, but whatever. Obviously you could poke holes in Lord of the Rings. It's like, why didn't the eagles show up and all that shit, like, but whatever. My point still stands. In that moment, Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and like everybody who's standing there, Gandalf, a lot of them, like all the good guys, have to just have faith. Their only option is to say, well, they've two options. They could just like give up. They could all just like give up on the spot, which would have sucked. The movie would have been, what the fuck, bunch of pussies. But they just have to have faith in the fact that like Frodo is going to make it to the mountain and he's going to destroy the ring. And Aragorn steps forward and he just looks at all of them. And for a moment, because there's like something going on, there's like voices or some shit. And for a moment, Gandalf thinks that Aragorn has finally given up and turned to the dark side, essentially. But then he turns around and looks at all of them, and then he just has that look in his eye, like, and then he's just like, for Frodo. And just sprints on his own towards the enemy lines. And then they all like look at each other and they're like, oh shit, he's just like going, like, oh fuck, let's go. And then it's awesome. They all just like start running after him, and one of the fucking hobbits is like the first one to run after Aragorn. So it's like Aragorn starts legging it, and then this tiny little fucker just runs after him, and then they both get engulfed by everyone who follows them, like, and it's this like epic fight. And Frodo makes it to the mountain and drops the ring in, and then all the bad guys fucking give up because they see the tower fall, right? And it's like, that's just a story. Not only is it just a movie, we call it just a movie. Some people are, just a movie? Lord of the Rings isn't just a movie. What's wrong with you? It's just a movie. But it's a story. It's a movie. It's a visual representation of a written story made by a man, right? But this man had, like, faith. And that's how I look at it. I just look at it in a real, like an alchemical thing of just, there's just ingredients to life. And when you mix things up, like, you know, oh, he believed in God, and, like, you know, it was this ideology and this religion and this God and the fucking this, that, and the rest. It's just like, just have faith. It's just having faith in something, in anything, just in general, having faith. That's where I think that's what makes people like us seem crazy to people like the scientismos who gloriously paid for Paintingu. Like, your contribution to Paintingu is much appreciated. The fucking, like, all these people who are just like nihilistic and like they don't believe, like, whatever. If like I can't say, like, well, I could say, but I won't say I don't care what God you believe in. Fucking right, I care what God you believe in. Depends on the God you believe in. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you literally believe in and worship a God that like requires blood sacrifices and all this fucking shit, like they alleged elites and all this thing with Moloch and the owl and the baby burning and all this crap, then that's some fucked up shit, you know. But like, if you believe in, like, even you take fucking Hinduism, where they're like, you know, the thing that Owen did when he took the piss out with it, it's like, they believe in a fucking God that lives in a cow's ass. Like, because of the image, you know, like that your one was showing. We believe that dung is very important to the cycle of life, which it is, you know, like there's a sprinkle of truth in like that belief system, like, you know, which is why I'm using it as an example. It's like, at least that kind of makes sense on some level. Like, they revere the creation of God, you know. They're like, God made the cow, so the cow is God. You know, like, yeah, it's fucking retarded. It's not good logic really when you think it out, but like, it's endearing, and on a level it makes sense. Like, you know, it's like, God make the cow, now cow God, there is bit of God in cow, which, you know, on a level I kind of agree with, you know. We all have a spark of divinity in us, like, and then I think the whole free will thing is like, do you submit your spark of your divine spark to something else, and why? You know, because I would say that I have kind of submitted at least partly my divine spark to whatever I believe to be God is, because I can feel that pull. You know, my internal compass is like, no, yeah, that's the right thing to do. No, yeah, this is the right thing to do. No, stay away from that shit. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, that's based on discernment, which, you know, partly is based on experience, but then there's all sorts of things like trying to be introspective and shit, which a lot of people aren't, you know. I mean, when I heard that there's people out there that don't have an internal monologue, I was like, what the fuck is it like being you? You know, like, because I've like, I don't know, like, I number them like frequently, like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, I've like 5 of them, 6 of them, I don't know, sometimes I've like, feels like I've 12 of them in there. Like, it's like just aspects of you, you know, attempting to comprehend things logically or whatever, like, because that's like, you know, your soul is you, allegedly. That's actually you. That's the thing that's like manipulating this meat sack, is like, your soul is in tandem with your mind. Your mind's powered by the electromagnetic impulses in the realm. That's what allows us to move in this medium and stuff, and using our body and shit. And like, your will, your intent is the thing that actually drives it all. Well, at least for you individually, you know. But I do believe that our intent can actually like influence our surroundings and shit. Like, and when you start like talking about all this stuff, a lot of what you come across these days is like, it either gets put down to a lot of, oh, it's just woo woo, or it's like, oh, you believe in, are you religious or something? I'm not religious at all. Like, you know, really, I'm not. Like, I would say that like I would try and never be religious. I would instead try and be disciplined. And I think all religion is an attempt at disciplined spirituality. Really. That's all religion is to me, is an attempt at disciplined spirituality. Which, sure, you could totally argue that there's a use for that and that it can be good. But it can also be the worst shit ever. I mean, we've seen that happen, like when people try to have a discipline in a spiritual sense, and they end up with a fucking dogma, and they end up burning people at the stake because of what they believe to be true. You know? You need to be really fucking careful, like, doing shit just because you believe it. You know? But you also need to be careful that you never have faith in anything. Like, if you don't have faith, if you don't have any faith at all, I think you're fucked. And not only are you fucked, like, in the game, but you're fucked in the head. There's something wrong with you if you don't have any faith at all. You'll have some faith in some shit. I mean, like, I have faith that, like, you have faith that stuff's gonna work. You have faith that when you take a step forward, your foot's not just gonna buckle through the fucking... Like, do you know what I mean? Like, 'cause I think that's where a lot of nihilism fucking stems from, obviously. Because it's just like, well, I don't really have faith in anything. Everything's just meh. You know, it's like, well, why not? You know? I think that's cowardice. I think that's like... I think a lack of faith is cowardice, fundamentally. You know? We all get scared. We all have fear in a given moment. We all get scared. But to live in fear of anything, or just like concepts or some shit, like could you imagine, like, do you imagine being like really scared that like a meteor is gonna hit at any given moment and like kill us all? Like, do you know what I mean? I remember like having thoughts like that as a young teenager. I was like, so hold on a minute, like at any moment a giant cosmic rock could just be hurtling through this vast open space and just happen to make contact with us and murder all of us. There's nothing we could do about it. And the reason why that kind of works on people is, like, in a sense, I think that is like that speaks to you on a primal level, where like if you're just like a deer going through a forest, if something wants you dead, there's not a lot you can do about it. I mean, you can run, you know. What else you gotta do? But then you look at the statistical success of most predators and stuff, and like, and they actually fail quite a lot. Like, turns out running works, like, quite a lot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you see a predator and you go, oh shit, and you're just gone. Like, I'm like, that is like the best fucking strategy most of the time. Cheetah coming at you 60 miles an hour, left, right, left, right, left, right, gone. Live to see another day. You know, cheetah's sitting there like, fuck. I can only do that 3 more times before I'm too hungry to do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, being a... Like, in nature, being a predator is very, like, very risky and not very rewarding unless you're exceedingly good at it. Which is really interesting that, like, you know, predators actively have to teach their young to kill other creatures to live. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, think about it. Like, a herbivore, like, typically, like a cow. A cow will take a fucking cow or deer or giraffe, right? They shit a baby out, and within minutes, the thing's, like, walking around. I don't know if that's true for cattle. I think it is. I'm not sure. But it's true for giraffes. It's probably more true for them because there's, like, way more predators around, and, like, they have to be like that, like, you know. But shit, typically, like, in nature, you know, has shorter gestation periods, and the young are, like, typically way more capable physically and, like, in a sensory sense within, like, hours of being born, you know. And, like, all they have to do is, like, don't stray too far, stick with the herd, you know, stay close to me, and you can eat that, and that. There's water over there, you know. That's all they really have to teach their young. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, stay close, eat that. You know, a predator is like, you know, right, stay close to me, stay fucking quiet, stay low to the ground, don't make a fucking sound, follow me, you know. And then, like, sits there and is like, you see that one? We're not gonna go for that one. You know why? Because it's fucking huge, and there's like 6 of his friends over there. You want to know what we're gonna go for? That one. He's 3 days old, ripe for the taking. He's limping, must have fallen. Like, think of the mentality behind it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's so like they like look at weaknesses. They look at the weak link. They look at how can I get in? How do I get in? How do I break the defenses? What's my highest chance of success? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was a vegetarian or a vegan, I would look at those arguments. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I would argue, like, being a vegan and a vegetarian would be purely the mentality of predators. You know, like, I'd just be like, you guys are assholes. You know, like, you guys are assholes and cowards. You know, like, you fucking eat kids, prey on the weak. You'll never go near the big fella because he'll destroy you in seconds, even though there's like 10 of you. You know, like, you know, like, it's hilarious. It's just like Owen says about farming. It's like when you start farming, you learn a lot about life and how life works and society works and shit like that, and elites and how elites like operate essentially on a level the farm that is society, at least in the West these days. It's the same with nature. It's the same with nature, and you look at nature and you're just like how funny is it that we have these like religions and spiritual beliefs and stuff, like where we like anthropomorphize animals in a sense where, well, no, it's kind of the other way around, where we like impart animal traits onto humans. You know, he's as strong as an ox. He's as reliable and loyal and steadfast as an ass. I'm still at such a low level of maturity in certain aspects that when somebody calls a donkey an ass, I still giggle. I'm like, like, oh God, I've been rambling for 40 minutes. Welcome to PEINTEINGU. Much honor. Yes, anybody who comes to PEINTEINGU drowns in honor if they behave themselves. We all know the story of the elf. The elf behaved in a dishonorable fashion and was cast from PEINTEINGU via the glorious and divine Banfan. He was wafted gently out the door. For I may be a demigod, but I am a merciful one. The prance need rain. Oh, we had plenty of fucking rain earlier on and yesterday. Like, seriously, living in this place is crazy. We'll get like torrential rain for like an hour and then the sun comes out and it's gorgeous. It's hilarious. It's so funny, like. Soy sauce, ink, an unfortunate perversion. That's so true. That's so fucking true. Like, what do we get from Asians? Like soy sauce, ink, and perversion. And carpentry and math. like all these really cool things that come out of China because China's so old and shit, like, you know. Like, do you guys ever hear about that theory? Well, I don't know if it's actually a theory or if it's just something that I kind of pieced together in my brain, but I'd say other people have done it, where like there's that movie. I haven't watched the movie. Matt Damon's in it. The trailer looked okay. I just never got around to watching it. Matt Damon's in it. It's like a Chinese flick or something. I think it's just called The Wall or The Great Wall or something. And from what I seen in the trailer and from what I heard about reviews and stuff, it's like it's about the Great Wall of China and why it was actually built originally. And it was like to keep like huge lizard monsters out or some shit, like. And you know the way there's like all these like stories and cultures of like lizard people and snake men and like legit, like, do you know what I mean? Everywhere from Africa to fucking like, you know, and then like St. Patrick in Ireland got all the snakes out. It was like, were they actually snakes or they were like, you know, allegorical and metaphorical snakes, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think is hilarious about all the stuff that we read about history and all. It's like you could just look at something simple like I can't think of an example like now, but it was like we used to use this word for that, and now we use it for faggot. Faggot's a brilliant example. Faggot is like a form of meat. You can have a bag of faggots, which is like pork faggots. You can have pork faggots, right? And then you can have a bundle of faggots, which is like like it's sticks, right? And then you have a fag, which is like a cigarette or a fucking like, you know, yeah, it'd be cigarettes. You know, you never say fag when you're talking about fucking cigar or something, like. And then you have fag or faggot as in homosexuals. And it's like, so that's Think about that for a minute. Like, you have all these things in the same, like, and they're totally different fucking things. Like, you know, you have cigarette, a pile of sticks, a pile of meat, like segmented pieces of meat from a particular animal. Because I don't think you can have faggots like beef faggots. I could be wrong, you know, but I've only ever heard of pork faggots. And then like a homosexual, like, so like a homosexual, a form of meat, a bundle of sticks, a cigarette. Like, and it's just one word, like, it's like, I'm so glad I was born speaking English, because trying to learn how to speak English, like, would be fucking crazy, like, you know what I mean? It's like, so what's this word, so what is this word faggot you speak of? Alright, well, it means this, and this, and you look at the images they show you, and you're like, hold on a minute, what the fuck? Like, how did you get to a stage where you use that word for these things, like, you know? But it does make sense. It actually does make, like, especially with the bundle of sticks thing, because it was like seen as like a burden or some shit, and all, like, and then fag, because like cigarette is a small thing that you light on fire. So like a lot of the things you do make sense. I don't know where the whole faggots come when you're talking about pork though, but I'm sure there's a reason, you know, and it's probably something derived from like the fact that it's like strips of pork or something that looks like a pile of sticks or something. I don't fucking know, like, but that shit is just... And, like, people would, like, kill each other over shit like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I could say what I just said in the wrong place at the wrong time, surrounded by the wrong people, and some lunatic could probably try to stab me. Do you know what I mean? Like, he said faggot! I just can't take this shit anymore! like... Like, we all know about that yoke in the green jacket that sat down when Trump got elected. Was it 2016? And that yoke in the green jacket sat down and was just like, nah! Like people like that exist. There's not that many of them, you know. There's not as many of them as you would be led to believe there is. But they're there, and they're really loud, and they cause a lot of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so fucking funny to me how, like, I'm so grateful that I grew up for so many things. I'm so grateful that I kind of had like a fucked up like teenage life, but like a fairly decent you know, childhood, and then kind of a depressing and like very real and like humbling 20s, you know. And now I'm in my 30s, and I'm just like exceedingly grateful for just waking up every day. You know, like, I had one of those days this morning where I was like, I had one of those days this morning. I had one of those mornings where I woke up and I was like, oh, I don't want to get up yet. And I saw the light outside the window, and I was like, oh, it looks early enough. It felt like it was still like 6, 7-ish in the morning, you know, which is when I try and get up, you know, I try and get up at 7-ish, but I have to be in bed by like 10. But I got up and I was like, oh no, I can go back to bed for like an hour or whatever. And I woke up and it was 9. And I was like, okay, that's okay. Oh, 9's okay. 9's, you know, most people are starting work by now, but like, fuck it. Like, I'm not on their clock. I'm on God's clock. And I was like, right, I'm gonna do some admin on the laptop and stuff like that, and I'm gonna download a stream, get some basic shit out of the way, and then I'm gonna do a workout. And I was doing the workout, and it was kind of grey, and it was cold. It wasn't cold; it's a bit mild. But you know when you're like only awake, even like a little bit of like a cool breeze, and you're like, oh, I can feel it in my bones. Especially when you're a fucking lean, skinny cunt like I am right now. But then I started doing the workout and all, and I started feeling better, and, you know, despite things being sore and stuff like that, you're like doing the workout. And then it started raining. And like, I don't know about you guys, but there's something like, I don't know if this is just a man thing either, but like, there's something really like meditative and enjoyable for me personally about being out in the rain while doing fairly intense physical activities. Just like, so you're sweating and you're warm, but you're out in the rain. And like, yeah, it's better when it's like just kind of light rain, so you don't get like absolutely drenched. which it was. But like, that's happening to me every so often where I'm like out and about, like, you know, could be just on a walk or something, like, and it starts raining and I'm like, oh, this feels amazing. Whereas like most people in my life, you know, like I remember this one time in particular where like me and my best friend were walking somewhere and it started raining. And he just reacted like completely the opposite to how I reacted. Like he was like not having it. He was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" and all. Like I like took my jumper off and was just walking around in my t-shirt. And it was like, "Oh, this feels amazing." And like, it's stuff like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Where it's like it literally is just you. It's everything's a choice. It's just your attitude. It's just your frequency. It's the signal you're receiving. It's the frequency you're tuned into, like, do you know what I mean, at any given moment, not all, like all the time and any given moment. Because I still, like, despite my kind of like, you know, I probably do come across, well, I definitely come across whimsical looking like this all the time on the internet. But like, even like normally in like every day with people, like I come across like a bit of a lunatic, like, do you know, and I am a bit of a lunatic. I like it. I like being a bit like, you know, bleh. But like, I honestly think it serves a purpose. I think there's not enough of people, like, and I don't mean this in an arrogant sense. I don't mean, oh, more people need to be like me. No, they don't. But like, I think there needs to be more people, willing to just like do shit and not care about what people think, because there's so much fake shit now. There's so much fake shit now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could put something on the internet and you could get your life destroyed if you let that happen. Do you know what I mean? It happens to people all the time where I was watching this video there the other day about this YouTuber who wanted to be a comedian, really wanted to be a comedian, and it went so bad for him. It went so bad for him. But when you look at how he behaved at every milestone, it's no wonder it went so bad for him. You know? Like, he was a bitch and like a fucking, like a little gamma and a coward and all these things, like, you know, and like kind of being passive aggressive and shit. And it just like totally melted down, you know? And then when he got depressed and suicidal, he started like you know, like oversharing with the community, being like, guys, I'm so depressed. Should I just get a job? I don't know what to do. Like, that's what, like, I've had days where I don't want to do painting goo because I'm in a, like there's days I don't do painting goo because I've just got shit to do. I'm like, okay, I can't do painting goo now because my priority is my life with the female. You know, like, if me and Wishy need to do something, I'm not going to be like, but I need to do painting goo. Maybe one day, you know, when there's like a load of people and money like riding on it or something, like. But for the moment, it's just like 20 odd people love me as their morning radio or some shit, like. So I try and do it every day at the same time, you know, because I like making people happy and I like having fun. But there's days where I really don't want to do this because I'm in a shit mood. And it's not that I don't want to do this because I'm sick of doing this. It's because I don't want you guys to feel the energy I'm giving off. And I know that would happen if I, like, came on like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've done that before on other streams. Like, I've cried on a bear of banter before. And I've, like, you know, gotten loud and gone on a rant and stuff. And I think there was even like a few painting goos when I was back when I was drinking and stuff like that, where I was visibly, like, you know, ranting angrily and shit like that. Like, and don't get me wrong, that shit is obviously entertaining and, like, you know, stuff like that. Fucking, you know, that's a lot of that is like how Owen got so viral and stuff in a big way because he was just some dude in his back garden drinking, just being like, fucking moon, man. Like, it's fucking hilarious. But like, I totally understand how he's like adapted and altered his what he's projecting onto the internet. And I've kind of had an advantage in that sense because, like, I've watched him for a few years So when I decided that, like, I was like, okay, people tune into Painting Goo every Friday, and a lot of people are mad about it, like Scouse and Sleep Deprived Bear and fucking a few other people who are just like 2 Acre, like into it all the time. I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it every day. I'll start. I wouldn't mind doing that every day, like, you know. And here we are. And from the get go, I was like, I'm not going to, like. I also have an advantage because at least most of the time I play a character, you know. But I do, like, obviously I break the fourth wall all the fucking time. Sometimes I sit here for fucking 2 hours and just talk. So I kind of have an advantage that, like, there's already, like, a sense of, like, separation, you know. Where, like, I basically disappear on the weekend except for Demon Hunter Bear. You know, like, right, goodbye, it's Friday, I'll see you Monday, you know, like, and then I'm just, like, fucking doing whatever me and the missus are doing, and then when I get to chill out, I'm fucking playing video games with Demon Hunter. Which, I have to say, bro, is, like, it means a lot to me, because that's all I used to do, and I haven't done it in so long, so just chilling out with you and Sonia is, like, really good for my soul, really is, like. There's nothing quite like playing a video game with people you get along with. It's a very there's a reason it's so big. It's a very sociable thing to do. It's a very sociable thing to do is play games with people. Agreed. History has been gravelled by the victors. Yes, I mean, like, if you straight up believe everything you've been told about any given subject, I mean, fuck, just, God help you. I think when the atmosphere was more dense and thick, every living thing was way larger. Yeah, like, do you think that they tore a hole in the firmament when they were, like, shooting them missiles up and shit? And do you think they were like, oh shit, what have we done? I think that's what the whole moon landing thing was and stuff. And the same with Operation High Jump in Antarctica with the where they sent Admiral Byrd and shit. I think multiple times throughout recent enough history, mankind, like, you know, a small sect of mankind has, like, attempted to poke holes in reality, you know, to, like, find God, or at least, like, to seek our limits, you know, because it's like, it makes sense. It's like, I don't know if they're still telling the truth about, like, you know, fucking cavemen shit and all that stuff, because, like, I don't believe we came from monkeys, but did we come from Neanderthals? Because I have a theory that we're actually a homunculus. And I'm not dropping that theory until someone, like, totally annihilates that theory. Like, I don't necessarily think that we, like, us humans now, the breed of the species that we are now, I don't necessarily think we were actually created by the creator. I think we could have been created by something else. And I think that makes a lot of things make sense. But obviously I could be wrong. You know, like, I like, it's not that I don't necessarily believe it. Like, you know, it's just like a fucking idea. It's something I think. It's a possibility. Are you familiar with Irish YouTuber Uberboyo? He has an interesting video on the origins of the Irish people. Ooh, no, I am not. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, like, I briefly spoke about something like that, where it's like your one Scotia, who was like an Egyptian queen or something, and she fled to Scotland. And apparently that's why Scotland ended up being called Scotland, is because her name is Scotia. It's Scotia, and it's pronounced, you pronounce the T like a sh, you know, like if you were saying, like, irrigation is Scotia, you know, with a T. And it ended up being calling Scotland, you know. And, like, I thought it was funny before, where you have like Ireland, you know, the land of ire. You know, like, it's like, isn't ire like wrath, or, like, you know, aggressive intent, or like hatred or something? Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, but then that kind of ties into the Irish people being like vicious fighters and stuff, like, you know. Because it's not just our mentality or, like, seemingly magical nature or the placement of our island. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why our culture was, like, and still is, quite unique, you know. But they all are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, the second you focus on a culture, you realize how utterly unique it is in loads of ways. Like, look at the difference between, take English people and then Russian people. They may as well be aliens. They may as well be a different kind of human. Like, you know, and yeah, they are a different kind of human, but like, they're still human. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, it's just a different language and culture, and it's like do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you may as well be aliens. It's crazy to me. But what's even crazier is that you've had that, like, on a small scale, where, like, in Ireland, somebody's accent at the top of the island could be so thick that someone at the bottom from the bottom of the island wouldn't understand them, and they're speaking the same language. And that takes place in other cultures and countries and languages as well, where, like, somebody is speaking the same language as you, but with a different accent because they're from a different region, and it's such a thick accent, and they're pronouncing things differently that you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I can't understand a word you're saying. Like, so they don't even need to speak a different language. They could just speak a language differently. You know, like, which to me is just like it's stuff. It's like simple, just everyday shit that you wouldn't like think about all the time. That I think about that shit, and that's what makes me like fall in love with this place, like life and reality. Is like when you just look at one thing, and then you really dive into what that thing is, and how it's made up, and like what makes it. It's endless. It's fucking endless. Take footballs, or Beatles, or fucking paper clips, or like anything. Everything in your life has like a rich and thorough history at this point. Like, think about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, even the iPhone by now has like, they're like 20 years old or something. Like, I was already, like, when I was watching Samurai Jack, I was like, oh my god, this cartoon is 23 years old. That's crazy. Like we live in such a fascinating time. I was listening to one of Vox's recent streams there. I love Vox's streams. He talks about fascinating shit sometimes, and then a lot of the time he just put you to sleep because he's just talking about random shit really calmly, like. But we really do live in a fucking fascinating timeline right now. We have all this shit going on, all at the same time. And nobody knows really what's going on. Like, some people can make really good predictions, you know? There's like people like Owen, or like fucking, you know, Chris Gardner or something. Like, even people in the mainstream, I suppose, that, like, depending on what you're talking about, they can make a really good prediction about something, and then it happens, you know? But overall, in a meta sense, nobody fucking knows what's going on, I'd say, apart from, like, seriously a group of, like, less than 20 people who are, like, you know, every so often talking to, like, angels and demons or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's people out there right now who, like, every couple of months, like, who was that guy? Who was that American politician or judge or something? Kenway, fucking, I don't know. Somebody went to Antarctica, like, right before an event or something. And apparently this is, like, a thing that, like, is recorded, and it is known that it happens, where, like, people, like, visit Antarctica before, like, world events and stuff. And it's, like, the first thing that comes into my mind is that they have to go there and, like, straight up, this is genuinely what I think is probably going on. Is well, the more I think about it, maybe not, but, like, okay, I'll admit my ego kind of wants this to be the truth because it's fucking really fascinating. I've spoken on this stream before about, like, parasites and stuff like that, and how certain parasites can, like, turn an insect or whatever into essentially a zombie that they, like, it controls, and then spreads spores and grows more parasites and all this shit. Like, some fucking wild stuff in nature, man. And that's what has led me to the theory that what if Antarctica had something beneath the ice that, like, you know, kind of like when you're, you know, in any excavation or any adventure or any excursion, you're always going to lose a few people to shit you didn't expect. diseases, poisons, animals, you know, like, especially on those bushwhacking adventures where you're literally like tip of the spear, you know, the first people that you know of in all known civilization to be in this location, you know. And they go to Antarctica, and your man Admiral Byrd said that there's like loads of land there, loads of resources over the ice and stuff. So what if when they get there, they came across an organism that is simply just far more advanced in a certain way? And like it could be both. It could be a race of, or a breed of, or, you know, like a type of human, a group of humans who have lived on that side of the ice or in that area of the realm for X amount of time, and they like live in a symbiotic relationship with these parasites for some reason. And I have a suspicion that it could be a parasite that like enhances you at a cost, you know. It could be a parasite that, you know, essentially makes you more efficient in like most ways, like make you smarter, stronger, quicker, all these things. Your senses are more acute and efficient or something, like essentially make you like superhuman, by like allowing this parasite to live within you. But the payoff is that all those parasites are like telepathically connected, like a fungus, you know, like a mushroom fungus or some shit. Like they are intrinsically connected, whether it's physical or not. Like, so the second you are in symbiosis with this parasite, you gain all these abilities and these perks, but you are essentially submitting your will to this like consciousness. And what I've just said, you could easily compare to like Satanism, all right? And like part of me thinks that's where a lot of this comes from, where like I think the people in charge of our society are aware of another group of humans that you could argue are alien because they're different, but then you could easily argue, like I said, that like an Irish person and a Russian person may as well be aliens. But I think that there are more people and there is more land, you know, because they drove the whole space thing, you know. It's like there's other planets, there's other species. I think it's here. You know. I think it's just like just over the mountain, just over the ice or whatever like that. And I think there's like portions and cycles and all this shit. And I think that would make a lot of sense and answer a lot of questions, because it would be like they have to go there to pay homage, or that's like the tippy top of the pyramid in terms of like, you know, secret societies where like there's only a few people who know that we're actually like collaborating with like other, you know, humans like a distance away. And they're probably like, you know, with the whole Men in Black thing where they're like they're around us every day, they are among us, like that could be a thing too, you know. And that's why certain people feel weird and look weird to us or some shit, is because they're not actually like from here, they're from over the ice, you know, and stuff like that. Like it really wouldn't be difficult to keep all that shit. Like look at the monopoly, the control they have over information, you know. I mean, if they tell you that the Library of Alexandria was burned and shit like that, like, you know, so mankind has a history of rewriting history after they've killed each other, you know, then I wouldn't be surprised at all to learn that we've been lied to about fundamentally everything in an attempt to keep somebody's crazy idea perpetuated, you know. And it could be something as simple as like commerce on a really dark level, where it's like it simply is a deal between us and them, you know. Um, I think there's a lot of gravy in parasites, because I think that'll make a lot of sense. Like, you remember I spoke before about the whole, like, that series Stargate with the Goa'uld, and they have those snake symbiotes in their stomach. I think it could be something like that, you know. And they were depicted as they were really Egyptian looking. Those characters in that show. So you had a military base that found a portal to another part of the galaxy or some shit like that, and these guys essentially looked like technologically advanced like space Egyptians. Like, their ship was literally a pyramid, you know. Their mothership was like literally like 3 or 4 pyramids stuck together or some shit. Like, really cool show. But they had snakes in them, you know. Mad shit. There's some serious like dot connecting going on in my brain the last couple of years, where I'm just like there's some seriously mad shit going on. Like, before the flood, oxygen 30%. Yeah, I have a thought that when they were when was the flood? The flood was in the time of Noah. The time of Noah was before. What's the year of the flood? Can't remember. That fucking show, Altered Carbon, was really cool. And they called all those people Mets after your man Methuselah, because he was like the oldest guy in the Bible, and they're all like essentially immortal, so they're all called Mets. I thought that was cool. There's loads of cool stuff in that show. If you haven't watched Altered Carbon, watch it, but be forewarned, it's basically porn. With like a really good it's porn with a really good story and like awesome action scenes and really great acting. But there's like some straight up, like, you don't see any penetration, so I suppose you can't actually call it porn. But like, oh my god, like, dude, like, seriously, these days when I see some shit, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, you may as well just shoot some porn. Like, fucking hell. Like, do you know when you go so far, it's like you've gone that far and stopped, you know, but like, why stop? Like, you may as well just fucking make it a porno. Like, Jesus Christ, like, I've never understood that. Like, do you know what I mean? Because, like, narratively speaking, it's like you're watching something and it's like, and then they made love, or like, and then they fucked, you know, and then they had sex. It's like, okay, just fade to black, you know, have them kiss, turn, fade to black. You know what happened. They fucked, you know. If you really need to, like, hammer it home, pun not intended, phrasing, fucking, if you really need to hammer home the idea that they had sex, then, like, when you come back from cutting away, have them, like, you know, in bed, disheveled looking or something, like, do you know what I mean? But, like, why do you actually need to be like, and now they're fucking, watch them fuck. Like, you know, look how they fuck. Isn't it so entertaining? Like, it's so fucked up to me, like, and they just randomly throw, and a lot of the time it doesn't feel like narratively purposeful, do you know what I mean? But you know it's coming. You're like, you see a scene, and then you see another scene, and then you see a scene with a male and a female, and they're alone, and you're like, they're gonna fuck, you know, like, and then they do, and you're like, yeah, fucking typical. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's like one of the things that you don't actually need to put in a story for you to, like, for you to know that it happened. Like, Korberu, Dick Fordu, Wagamu, to Paintingu. An hour and 10. Today is just a rantingu. But why did God downsize everything, including us perhaps, or at least lessened our lifespan significantly? Was that our doing through breeding or diet, or did he want more of us? Yeah, like, it fucking, like, who knows? It's fascinating to ponder. Like, that's why I'm going with my homunculus theory. Like, I think we were made after a lot of mad shit happened. That's my current like theory. Is like I think we were made after a lot of like cataclysmic shit happened in the realm, and there's been loads of deals made, like, you know, that are like totally above our heads, and they were probably made. A lot of them were probably made just between men and other men, you know, or human and other human. But there is somewhere along the line somebody made a deal with like what we could probably call a demon. That's what it looks and feels like. Is somebody made a deal with something that's not human. But maybe it is. Maybe it's like part human. Maybe it's like what I kind of think, where it's like it's humans who live in a completely different way because they came across something and they like live with it, you know, like, and they use its advantages and they don't mind the because it's like Satanists, like, do you know what I mean? It's like you'll have these people who are like, oh, so all I have to do is let you kill my grandmother and like I can be, you know, a pop star. Yeah, walk away, here's her address. The same way you'd have people like that. You could have like people who are like, okay, I get that putting this worm thing in my eye and letting it crawl into my brain is like a pretty weird and fucked up thing to do, but living for 1,000 years, being really intelligent, being able to communicate telepathically, being superhumanly strong and fast, like, you know, they just list off all the perks they get and they're like, yeah, I don't know about you, but it's totally worth it. Like, but like I don't. It would be way too creepy for me, the prospect of being connected to another consciousness. Even though when you think about it, like, don't we kind of argue that we are connected to another consciousness, like, i.e. God, already, you know? Like, I genuinely do believe, like, when I'm painting or when I'm just even doing this, talking to you guys, or just at random moments in my life the last few years, I feel connected to something. You know, whether it's like you see the number 33 a few times in a row, or like if you're paying attention to numerology, or if you're paying attention to world events, and then you look in your immediate environment and things start to correlate and sync up in weird ways, where you're kind of like, okay, there's no way that's a coincidence. That's just like, there's something there. There's some kind of like divine will, you know, a meta will. We all have like our individual level of like will and discernment, and like you have free will, but like everybody's level of free will is like different, you know, because like you're constantly fighting against your desires, but then the things influencing you too, you know, and they use your desires to influence you further. Everything from like, ooh, I want a cookie, to like, oh, like, you know, somebody who like a guy who's seemingly happily married with children and a great job, but he like you know, spends an obscene amount of money on rent boys every weekend or some shit. Like it makes sense to me how all this demonic energy sucking works, you know, because like, think about it. There's an energy to when you go to a festival or a gig, and they're playing that part of the song where everybody, like, you know, fucking comes together and shit. Sometimes literally, you know, like, like, fucking. There's moments in life where a group, like, you're all together and like it's like everybody laughs, or everybody cries, or everybody gets scared, or like everybody gets inspired, or like, you know, there's vibes that you can feel, you know, and they're like collective. Like yawning is like contagious. That to me tells me that even like you could probably prove it somehow, I think, scientifically, that there are things, entities, organisms, they could be both or one or the other, that actively feed off of negative energy. Cause we like think about it, like those moments where you're like, oh my god, that time we were at the Slipknot gig and they played fucking Left Behind and me and my friends were there and that's our favorite song for this reason and blah blah. Like, you know, everybody has those things and it's like that's one of the things that makes you go to another gig. Is like, I want that feeling again. I want that feeling again. And that's how a lot of us operate. Is like we get sensory input. You get stimulated in a certain way. Inspired, scared. You know, some people get addicted to being scared. Like I've been like that. I've gone through my phase where like I want to watch a scary movie because like I want to be, you know, freaked out or horrified or something like, and I used to do that because I used to like testing myself, you know, like can you look at this horrifying thing without like going like and looking away or fucking getting into a cold sweat and pissing yourself or some shit, like, do you know what I mean? Like there is a sense, like I'd say especially for men, where it's like you want to go into the dark cave where the growling's coming from just to see what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there is a stupidity to that. Like, you know, that's not, I wouldn't, unless the context of it was, you know, there's someone in there that you need to save, you know, that's courageous. But if you're just out hunting a pig with like 6-year boys and then you just happen across this cave and you're like, ooh, let's go in here. You know, like that's stupidity. That's being a jackass. That's when all your friends that's when you and 3 your friends get murdered by a hibernating bear. Lord of the Rings is great. Yes, it is. Re-listening to the books, so much gravy. Courage under pressure and faith being paramount. Oh, that's funny that I was just talking about courage there. Sink! That is the nature of us. Many things are the nature of us. Welcome to Paintingu. I think it's just a factor of being further from perfection, 2acre. What is perfection? Like, God would be the closest thing that would... Like, is God perfection, or can God create perfection? I have no idea. Like, what is perfection? I mean, we say like perfection's a concept. Do you know what I mean? I love that scene from Rick and Morty. It's like the first or second season or something. I dropped off after the third or some shit because they actively promoted Pornhub. What was it? He said something that, like Morty. Oh, glorious Gepu. Oh, tastes like coffee and honey. I want more coffee and honey now. Morty's like trying to level something out, or he's trying to make something level, and then Rick comes in and he's like, "You don't even know the meaning of level. You don't know what level is." And he like gets out this like laser machine thing and loads of other stuff, and like makes a section, a square, like a meter squared section in the garage, like ultimately level scientifically. And then he tells Morty to stand in the square, and Morty like starts having an orgasm or something. And he's like, "Oh my god!" Like, and then he like pulls him out of the square, and then Morty's like freaking out because he's like, everything's like not straight. Like, it's hilarious. It's really funny, like, because there's a truth to that where it's like, you know, like what's straight? It's like arbitrary, like, it's still like our arbitrary kind of like, okay, can you get it straighter? Can you get it finer? Like, that's what microscopes is about and stuff, isn't it? It's like, alright, I can see it. Alright, but like, can I really see it for what it really is? Like, you know, I need to get closer. I need to get right up in it. Like, do you know what I mean? Fucking perverts. Like, man, like, scientists are such perverts. Like, I want to poke it. I want to kill it. I want to cut it open. I want to stab it. I want to melt it. I want to burn it. I want to fucking drown it in acid. I want to fucking just like I want to spin it around at 100 miles an hour. like they're fucking lunatics. Like, you have to be very, very quiet today, Corbero. Do you have to be very quiet? Probably in the whole of the US, but I have been strangely statist lately. Only hole is Milky Way opened up to flood. Yeah, but what do you think caused that? Do you know? Like, did the firmament get torn by something we did, and then a lot of water came in, or did God just like open a zip, you know, like just like, or was it like really epic where he was like, "Thou hast betrayed me," and then like fired a lightning bolt at the sky, and it was like, "Doom to you all," except Noah. Noah's my guy, you know. Um, yes, they tried to break it, just failed at it. Nah, it just degraded by mutation over time. I don't know, like, yeah, they say that we're like, I've heard people say that like our pinkies, not our pinky, our baby toe is gonna fall off eventually. I don't think that's true. I think it's true if we keep wearing shoes the way we're wearing shoes as a society. I think that would be fucking true, because our feet aren't the way our feet are supposed to be because we wear shoes. Well, not because we wear shoes, because the shoes we wear are bad for us. Just like the chairs we sit in too often are bad for us. Just like the food we eat is bad for us. Just like the stuff we drink is bad for us. The clothes we wear are bad for us. The fucking shoes we wear are bad for us. I don't know what it's like to wear 100% organic wool or linen or cotton or something, but I vow to find out one day. I'm telling you now. Because I'm sick of, like, I've been like that for a while. Like, I'm quite sensitive to shit to do with my skin because I'm a pasty ass ginger nigga. My skin's basically fucking transparent. I've worn things and I'm just like, oh, I don't like the feel of this, you know, where like I put it on and I'm like on an electric, I can almost feel it on an electrical level where I'm just like, I don't like this fabric, you know, like. I'm telling you, if I ever end up with like a lot of money, there's gonna be at least like a 6 months to a year where I get like real bougie, kind of like Connor did, where I'm like walking around in like silk slippers or like some shit, like, cause I just want to try shit, like, do you know what I mean? I just want to try shit. Like, I won't buy a yacht or anything. I don't give a fuck about like cars or boats or whatever. I might like rent one for a day, you know, or a weekend or something. Be like, oh yeah, this is cool, you know. But I wouldn't fucking like purchase one or like rent one permanently like some people do, like, you know. But I'd like do like a day event or some shit. Like, tell you what I would be doing. I'd be going paintballing a lot or airsofting. I'd love to like I love paintballing and airsofting. I think it's hilarious the way people take it seriously, you know. It's like simulated battle. Fuck no, it isn't, nigga. Seriously, like, real bullets travel so much quicker and they hurt a lot more. like believe you me, like, you know what I mean? Like if I started shooting at you with a real gun, you would react a lot differently. Like, what is the channel that y'all also go to, including Painting Goo? I want to check it out. What's the channel that we all... Oh, you mean like the Bears? Like Owen Benjamin? How would I... Rumble. Go to Rumble's the easiest place to find him right now. Because I'm not going to tell you to just, like, if you don't know what he is, I'm not going to say just like, oh, just fucking subscribe to UATV. Like, just pay a $5 for content you don't even know what the fuck it is. Check out Owen Benjamin on Rumble. He's a legend. He's an absolute legend. One of the few like true comedians I've ever come across as a almost a lifetime fan of stand-up comedy. Owen Benjamin has like fucking seriously changed my life in a lot of ways since I started watching that chap. The fucking bear community's great. What that chap did, what he does every day is, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he has the fucking energy. But like, it's one of the reasons I keep doing Painting Goo is I'm like that's why I wanted to fuck it. I still owe money to Bertaria Ozarks for the fucking the way the t-shirts went and all, like, but like I want to help in whatever way I can, like, you know. And like I probably will end up getting into like animation and doing cartoons or something. Like I can feel that brewing. It's just right now I don't have the time or the money to learn a completely new craft, you know. When I'm stable I will start learning how to make cartoons. But for the moment, it's just still images. You know, fuck it for the moment. I'm doing it frame by frame for the moment. And enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying painting again lately. I really need to start sketching again. But yeah, owenbenjamin.com. What is it? Or did I just fuck that up? Go to rumble.com and look up Owen Benjamin. And then if you're interested, and if you like what you see, write him a letter. He gives his address out at the fucking end of the stream, and if you want to become a bear, you want to become a part of the bear community, write that big nigga a letter, and come up with a bear name. You could be Rider Bear. You could be Woo Rider Bear. Antarctica has gravy. I think we will know about it soon. Yeah, that's what Vox was talking about. He's like that they're gonna start disclosing a lot of this shit because like it's like too much of a pain in the hole and too much work, and kind of like pointless now in a lot of ways to keep a few things hidden. So they're gonna loosen the grip on information a bit, and they're gonna let the greater community know a few things, and you can be rest assured that there's gonna be plenty of bullshit involved though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they're always like, you know, like if they did come out and say that aliens are a thing and they live in Antarctica or whatever like that, like, do you know, like there's an agenda to all of it. They're never ever going to turn around and do something for the betterment of mankind, in my humble opinion. That's not what it looks like anyway. Like, this is all being orchestrated and played out by a group of people who came into power a long time ago, and they have a firm grip on most things, but it is loosening by the looks of it. And they fucking hate us. Like, I don't know what, like, that's why I think it's like a different species or demons or parasites. I don't know why you would be that fucked up, but maybe it is just humans. I don't know. I don't think it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something else that like makes us that fucked up. I could be wrong. I don't know. I mean, like, you could easily argue because like some people are just like awesome, you know, like me. Like 2 Acre, like Scouts, like everybody here on PEINTEINGU. Like some people, like, not like, look at Owen. Like, I mean, like, he fucking, out of all those comedians, he's the only one like really to like be like, no, fuck you guys, like, that's wrong. Like, really? Like, I've said this before. It's like, that's sad that one dude, you know. But when you think about it, I mean, that's basically what they say in the Bible about Jesus. And I'm not, like, saying fucking I think Owen is, like, a second coming or some shit. I'm not a fucking lunatic. But I do think it's a funny comparison. How, like, one guy can just make that much of a ripple in the pond that is the zeitgeist, you know? By just saying it how it is, you know? And it, like, it's fascinating how it's so obvious. Like, when you look at the systems, and it's just like, you know, anything as simple, like, from something as simple as, like, you'd see, like, something on the news, and they put their video up on YouTube or something to do with the presidency or the government or something, you know, and they turn the comments off, you know, and it's kind of like, why would you do that, you know? Like, you know, and then you have the stuff with COVID where they're like, and I know they didn't literally, like, most people, like, they didn't actually force anything. It was all just like, oh, you better do this or else, you know? So then people's fear carried the rest of it. But, like, I just think it's a bit sad. Like, I think it's a bit sad. It's shameful. Shout out to Owen Benjamin, and, like, you know, I love the chap. I've been watching for a few years. I am a bear. I love being a bear. I love the bear community. Like, fucking big fan of the guy and all, like, you know. But, like, it's a bit shameful as humans that, like, there's not more people like that. Like, you know, like, do you guys not agree? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, I mean, the fact that it's like, it was like a drought Do you know what I mean? Like, no comedian. Like, you're like Frankie Boyle. Frankie fucking Boyle. Like, sold out. And they gave him a TV show called The New World Order. And it was one of the most, like, things I've ever watched in my life. And it was Frankie Boyle. Like, that chap's, like, I used to watch him again and again and again. Like, he was so fucking funny because he didn't give a flying fuck what people thought. He just said what he thought was hilarious. And it was hilarious. Like, the first couple of Frankie Boyle stand-ups are fucking comedy gold. Like, they're crass and vulgar and, like, dark and stuff. But it's fucking hilarious. And you can tell he's intelligent. Very intelligent. And then he gets fat and sells out. Or sells out and gets fat. Or, like, what happened at the same time. I don't know. Like, he looked like a fucking horrific mess. He looks like he just... Like, like I remember seeing a photo of him or something, or a still image, and I was just like, the light's just gone in his eyes. He looks like he wants to die. And, like, that's so sad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I get why some people would be like, oh, I have a wife and kids and a mortgage and all, like, and if I just, like... They would... I'm guessing these people would say that doing the right thing in those moments and not selling out would be the egotistical thing to do. I'm guessing that's how these people rationalize their cowardice. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's where they come from, where it's like, oh, but I have a wife and children to take care of. But, like, but Owen's said that before. It's like, don't put your wife and kids in front of a problem and be like, I can't solve this. I can't do this honorably because of my wife and kids. It's like, no, it's because you're a fucking pussy. It's because you're a coward. It's because you're not willing to turn around to your wife and kids and go, things might be rough for a while because daddy has balls. You know, like, because that's what it is. Like, it's like, we might lose a lot of money over the next year or two, but then it'll probably go back upwards because, like, that's what it is. It's like, all these things will drop you. You're like, oh, get rid of him. He's not willing to fucking toe the line or do what he's told, whatever. But then look at Owen. Look at the amount of clout he got, like, realm wide for just doing the right thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, do you imagine if Frankie Boyle had done that? If Frankie Boyle would be like, keep your fucking money, you pedophile scum. You know, like, he would have been just like, they would have, instead of God Emperor Trump, it would have been God Emperor Boyle. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, his fucking pedophiles trying to fucking buy me. I'll fucking show him. Like, it's sad. Like, it's shameful and sad that, like, practically, you know, like, as far as, like, famous comedians go that you would see in Western media, like, in the mainstream, Owen Benjamin's like the only one to go, no, fuck you people, this shit's wrong. Like, the only one? Like, really? Do you know what I mean? And the rest of you are, like, terrified. Like, do you know, it's like, what the fuck? Terrified of what? You really think they're gonna fucking send Men in Black in the dead of night with a silenced 9mm into your house and put 2 in the back of your head and then call it a suicide because you said faggot and nigger? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, really? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, no. I mean, they do that shit if you create an engine that can run on water and then try and commercialize it. Like, do you know what I mean? Because you'll tank the fucking economy. Like, do you know? Like, that's when people show up and they don't even put 2 in the back of your head. They put, like, a fucking, what do they call them? A radioactive isotope in your tea or something. Like, you know? Like, I come from the position, I swear to God, I come from the position where I look at normies and I'm like, do you guys not watch TV? Like, how funny is that? Like, I watch movies and TV and I'm like, all right, yeah, like, I get what's going on. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas other people watch movies and TV and they're like, nah. like, but we're watching the same material. Do you know, like, I just think it's crazy. 4,500 BC was it? Yeah, before Christ. 4,500 BC. Why is Rue like guess not? Oh, can you answer my question above? Painting you mentioned the other channel everyone meets up, but I forgot. All right. Well, I hope I answered your question. Sorry. Will, I'm always behind on the chat, so don't feel discouraged if your stuff doesn't get read for like an hour or if your questions don't get answered. It's just the nature of the Painting Goo chat. Oh, glorious Kepu. What colour were you painting the apartment to, Acre? Was it glorious? I suppose I could just tell him about Telegram, alright, yeah. But I thought he was asking about, like, you know, what's this stuff you talk about where, like, you're like bears and all? I usually leave phone on, but was with apartment lady and her daughter cleaning, and they don't need to know how weird I really am. I know, man. Like I've been in situations like that, even with the female, like, you know what I mean, where I'm like, oh, like I'm watching some dark shit right now, like watching YouTube videos about China's execution vans and shit, like, and I'm like, yeah, like, she doesn't need to know I'm watching this shit, like. Owen's so right. Like, your woman doesn't need to know the dark places you go to. It's for the lads. The lads go to dark places and go, okay, right, I know where to not, you know, like, I know where to keep my family away from. Like, you know, that's the whole point. Like, the men are supposed to get together with the spears and go out into the jungle and be like, what's that? Kill it. Awesome. Bring it back. And be like, look what we did, you know, and then go out again, and then they come across like a fucking 30-foot long snake, and one of them gets like crushed to death or something, and then they go back to the village, and they're like, right, be careful when you go southeast through the jungle from now on, because Magwapa fucking got his legs broke by a giant snake, like, do you know what I mean? So like, there's a giant snake that way. Like, that's what we're for. Do you know what I mean? You have to, like, it's one of the most sobering, like, humbling kind of things, like, ever, is realizing as a man, like, if you're a man, you're essentially expendable. Like, as far as society is concerned, like, as far as women are concerned, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, a threat, do the thing you're supposed to do. And it's like, yeah, okay. I like these days a lot of Western men, like, you know, to a degree, myself included, like, thankfully I've never had to do anything like, you know, life or death, but I think I have the right attitude, and I try to, you know, keep myself as capable and tough as possible, I suppose, and also have like a realistic, healthy attitude, and not be like, you know, delusional or blow things out of proportion and think I can take 10 guys on at a bar because my karate's so awesome. But that is the reality, is that it's just like, you know, like, how fucked up is that like multiple times throughout history we have sent millions of us to just kill each other. There's no honor in that. And don't get me wrong, like, war video games are incredibly entertaining, and they're competitive, and they're so much fun, and like, I fucking love them. I love shooters. But that's one of the, I've never been in a firefight. I've only ever played video games. I've gone paintballing and done airsofting, but we know that's not fucking, like, you know. But the fact that I've done those things, and I'm like, I just think about, I imagine what it would be like to be in an actual firefight, and I'm like, fuck that shit. Oh my god, in the blink of an eye, you can just be erased. Where's the honor in that? Where's the competition in that? Like, I don't even know if another guy has a bead on my head. Do you know what I mean? At least when it was swords and shields, is you typically killed the guy in front of you, you know? But even then, a lot of sword and shield fighting, dudes would just get their head bet in or cut off from behind. You'd be there fighting a guy, and then his mate just comes up behind you after killing fucking your mate behind you, and just lops your head off because you're trying to kill his friend, you know? You can be guaranteed, if we all ended up in a melee and like I was standing beside Demon Hunter Bear fighting someone, and then I bested my opponent and turned around and Demon Hunter Bear looked like he was struggling a bit, I would just stab the guy in the back, and when he fell to the ground, I would like cleave his head in twain. Do you know, I wouldn't stand there to see, like, you know, I hope Demon Hunter really knows how to fight after all this training. Do you know, my friend's in danger in that moment, like, do you know what I mean? And the loyal friend thing to do would be to kill that nigga and not risk my friend dying, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just human nature. Like, you're not going to stand there and be like, you know, God bless, and then find another opponent. You know, like, you look like you have it handled. I'll be back later. Like, I hope to see you later at the tavern. Like, fuck off. You'd be standing back to back being like, right, you know. This fucking wars are crazy. Perfection is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from with that, where, like, you know, perfection can be subjective, you know, because people will turn around and be like, oh, it's perfect, and it's like, is it though? But we were created in his image. So he built other animals, people, etc. first, dragons, etc., bigger people, but then decided to make us. But I said, like, look at this painting. This is my image. I created this image. If I put you in the painting, 2acre, I now created you in my image. What if he created us in his image is saying that he created us in his depiction of reality? The whole realm is his image, you know? Like, I know that's the saying, you know, oh, he created it in the image of something, but there's also the saying of, like, he created it in the likeness of, you know, like, does it say in any of the Bibles that we were created in his likeness? I don't know, you know, I'm asking, that's a genuine question. Because if it says that we were created in his likeness, then yeah, fair enough. But if we were created in his image, could be translated or interpreted as he made an image, a whole image, and then put us in it, you know? Seriously, the old people, according to Bible, Bible live 600 to 900 years. Is our year not measured the same, or did he change us for reasons? Yeah, like they say part of our DNA code or whatever is like fused, which is like, how the fuck did that happen? That doesn't happen in nature and stuff like that, which is one of the things that leads me to believe that we're actually not the OGs. Like, I think we're a copy or something. I think we were made. And that, like, do you not think it's funny that, like, we have this, like, existential crisis as a species where we're like, we don't know where we're from or how we came to be? Now, one could argue that the only reason we have that problem is because we're conscious enough to have that problem. We're, like, aware enough to have that problem. Whereas, like, a deer isn't, like, munching on berries going, why am I here? You know, like, could you imagine if it's just, like, there's the deer's just, he just, like, all of a sudden has this, like, eureka look on his fucking face. And he's just like, as I was eating the berry, I began to contemplate existence itself. Like, and then at that moment he gets shot in the fucking heart. Like how much worse would you feel if you, like, 2acre, the next time you shoot a deer, imagine it, like, having profound thoughts. If you had a little radar gun or something where you could, like, listen to the deer's thoughts moments before you killed it, like, you'd be sitting there with a bolt action rifle for hours waiting for this cute little fucking horned creature to, like, walk along and nibble on the bait that you placed hours ago, like, and then you just whip out this device and it's like, I wonder if E does equal EMC squared, you know, like, or if E equals MC squared, like, and you just, like, you hear the thing have, like, genuinely like profound thoughts about something, about life in general, and then you're just like, no way, they actually they're like us, and then you just shoot it. Like, it'd make it so much more messed up. Like the vegans would have a way better argument than like. Oh god. At the center of the Milky Way galaxy is the perfect shape of a cross. You can look it up. The Hubble telescope showed pictures of it. That's interesting. I don't really like trust the whole telescope shit, to be honest. Cause like just because you zoom in on something like doesn't really tell you anything. Like when you look at something on a microscopic level, it's like, okay, you've zoomed in really far. Sure, you can look at like geometric patterns and stuff like that. Like if you look at wood, you can see that it's like, oh, it's like all these tiny little fibers all building up on each other in a certain way. Like, I get it. You can look at something really close and you can glean certain things. But like having a massive, you know, zoomed in view of something that, you know, the skies are already out of our reach. You know, it's not like you pick up a leaf and you go, okay, I see the leaf, and now I look really close at the leaf. You look at the sky and you're like, what the fuck? How are those lights up there? What are they? What's going on? You know, then everybody has all these theories. And then somebody kind of like zooms in, you know, with like with an eyeglass. And they look at the moon and they're like, okay, you know, you can see with the naked eye that the moon has like blotches on it. And then you look a bit closer with like an eyeglass or something, and you're like, okay, craters, shapes, stuff that looks like craters or rings or holes or bubbles or something. I don't know. At what point do you zoom in and like, you know, like I don't understand. Like they say some of the maddest shit. Like, do you know what I mean? We've used this electron telescope. We've used this gas detector. We've used this laser scope thing, and we've discovered that like there may or may not be life on that planet. Like, fair enough. If you have a fucking like thing that can zoom in where you can actually see guys walking around building huts, then you're like, yeah, we found them. We found the aliens. You can totally see them. Look, there they are. But like they never find anything. It's all like speculation and ooh, look, shiny. Like that's all it is. You know, it's like there's galaxies and all this out there. It's like I have a feeling that every single fucking star you see in the sky is a soul. You know? I have a feeling that like the way Chris Gardner explains it, whereas like when you look up, that's the furthest, it's like the most outer representation of your existence. And just like as within, so without, as above, so below. So like just like there's constellations and patterns and stuff like that up there. Like I genuinely believe that like the stuff in the sky is a lot closer than they say it is, and I think it has way more of an active role in our everyday life than they say it is. I don't think it's just random gas and lights and like on a level. I think it could be, you know, sound. The whole luminescence thing where it's like you create a fucking sound pocket in water and it's like, oh, you know, like, and then it gets to the point where the bubble collapses in on itself and creates light and all this shit. Like, that's fascinating stuff. Like, and then you hear that like in the Silmarillion, the books before the Lord of the Rings, that Tolkien wrote, that an entity called Iluvatar sang the realm into existence, you know. So like that makes a shit ton of sense. That makes a shit ton of sense when you like look at Tesla and it's like everything is frequency and vibration and 369 and all. Like, it's like, what if the source is just an ultra low frequency that's like either been placed there by a divine entity or so, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's I could literally sit here for another fucking 2 hours and talk about all this shit because like nobody knows. Everybody has a theory. Everybody like, you know, has a claim to make or some shit, or like a book to fucking read, or supposed images or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like nobody ever has like a definitive, I've been there, this is what he said, fucking like, you know, I have proof, here it is. I tend to think he flooded out of anger and perhaps he ripped it open. Yeah, like that would be fucking mad if like we did genuinely have a singular divine creator who could potentially get emotional. Like, do you know, like that'd be mad. Like, you're like, oh, don't piss God off. You know, we know what happened last time. Like, and like I get it. Like previous cultures have allegedly had that belief, where it's like, you know, don't anger the gods. Like, do you know what I mean? But that to me is like. That to me is just like karma, you know, or like energy polarity, like positive and negative, where it's like, don't, whatever you put out into the realm comes back to you, just like ripples through water, you know? So if you are selfish and obnoxious and, you know, apathetic and like, and all these like kind of universally agreed upon to be negative things, then you're probably going to get negativity back. But then if you do these, for want of a better term, generally agreed upon positive things, then you're probably going to get positive shit back, like, you know. Nope, it's just what mankind was when it was created. I was speaking to physical perfection, the original creation of man. Like perfection in a given context. Again, though, like what it, like conceptually, perfection is like the highest level of something. You know, like the greatest point of something. The be all and end all of any given subject or whatever. So, isn't our standard for perfection like God himself? And like, I would think that I think it makes sense that divine consciousness is male and like a divine material is like female, kind of like Mother Earth, all father, you know, like the all mother is like what we're standing on, what we consume, what we live in, what we grow in, you know. I mean, you could, if this realm is a testing ground and like a training area or whatever like that, like that would make more sense. It's like you come out of your mother's womb and you come into this womb, and eventually you will leave this womb and your body behind and enter another realm that is like far more fucking sophisticated and complicated and probably difficult to fucking, like I've said this before, like what if that's what happens when you die? Like what if you die and you get fucking just flung into a cosmic war? You know, you wake up fucking on a table covered in armor, Doom style, and like some angels just looking at you going, brother, you made it, pick this up and join me, you know, and you're just immediately flung into like what feels like a video game fantasy, but it's not, it's fucking real. You've got wings, you have to kill demons. Keep your fucking head down. Don't, like, you know, don't get me wrong. It's probably a lot harder to die in the next realm, you know, because like dying in the next realm is probably oblivion, and that's fucking terrifying. That's terrifying. Oblivion. Oof. Like, because that's what nihilists think death is just oblivion. It's just dark, just boom, you're gone. You know? And that that almost seems inconceivable to me. Especially with the whole thermodynamic thing, where it's like energy cannot just like go to nothing. It has to like move or transform. That makes sense. Each generation gains mutations and thus gets farther from perfection. Yeah, man, like look at India. India's had some wild shit over the years. You always like the maddest fucking physical like malformities are like tend to be like from the Middle East and India and stuff like that. Where you have these like absolutely mental fucking deformities. Like this guy looks like he's got tree bark growing all over him. Another guy who's like do you ever see that? Do you ever see that fucking there's a documentary about a guy who lives in, I want to say India, like they looked Indian and it was very jungly. He lives in like a very rural village. Real low tech, you know, real low tech, real poor, real simple, real rural. His balls. It's one of the funniest things ever. But also when you see it, you're just like, what the fuck? But his ball sack is like the size of your average like bin. It's like in between his legs, like it's huge. It weighs like, you know, like 40 pounds or something, like, you know. And there's a part where like he's trying to get back up into his hut, and like someone else has to like hold his balls and help him back into his hut. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And like he sits on his balls, like it's like the episode of fucking South Park, like, do you know what I mean? He's got these, and it's like a tumor or something, like, do you know what I mean? Like, how fucking mad is that, like, you know? Oh god, there's some wild shit out there. The Heavenly Father opened it to flood the majority of the Nephilim. Yeah, like it does sound like a cleansing, like, you know, where like the sons of Cain were like killing everything and burning everything and all this shit, allegedly. Yeah, woo, it's not a YouTube channel. Oh, and Benjamin isn't allowed here. Back then, the vapor canopy was in place. Everything was bigger and lives longer. There was a lot more oxygen in the atmosphere. Yeah, but what made it leave, or what changed? It's sad there aren't more honest people like Owen and the Bears. Yeah, like we live in a timeline where that shit seems to be on the rarer side, which is, it's just fundamentally like, well, that's not good. But it is what it is. I bet Frankie Boyle never got a shout out from the Maldives for dunking on Indians. Yeah, it's hilarious. Oh, somebody has a for painting goo. 2-acre demon US 2-acre demon slayer. You're like collabing with Demon Hunter. Dude, that'd be lit. You die and wake up strapped with level body armor, 2 .460 revolvers, chest strapped, a sawed-off auto 10 gauge, 2 MP5. You gotta get the MP5s in there. 2 MP5s on your back and kick-ass armored plated wings. Ezekiel voice over and says, "Let's light him up, bro." Yeah, like, could you imagine if Saint Michael is just there to welcome you, and he's just like donned in like glowing armor and a fucking massive sword, and he's just like, "You made it! Let's get you dressed." You know, like, and you're just like, what? like imagine the overwhelming sense of like reality just kicked in, where you're like, oh my god, it's all real? I have to go like fly around and fight demons now? Like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yes! You know, like really like Goku or something, like, yeah! You know, like really positive and upbeat and like loving it, like that you have to go slay a load of demonic creatures, like, and like potential oblivion awaits. Oh god. Oh, is Owen Benjamin the guy who did a comedy skit about Joe Rogan and Lucifer? Did Owen do a skit about Joe Rogan and Lucifer? I don't think so. He did a Lucifer thing, and there might be a Joe Rogan bit in it or something. I don't know. I don't think Owen ever. He did a bit. Well, there was more Anchor Bear, wasn't it? It's like the AI thing about fucking Little Pants. It's hilarious. Sure, but why? Certainly, God knew what would happen. The changes. Yeah, like why? What happened? I posted a new video a few weeks back on Denver Airport. They made a new art installation there. It has a lot of subliminal messages in it. Ooh. Isn't that the same airport with the fucking Satan horse? Denver. We were created in his image. It says, well, what's his image? Where we're both then we're changing, or I don't know what the fuck that comment means to Iker. You were typing too fast there, I think. I mean, God surely saw where things would go, what would change, how things would evolve. The time, yeah, but maybe it was like maybe it was like the timeline specifically, and why and how things appear to have changed. It's by far the most fascinating aspect. Yeah, like I mean, like the seemingly logical answer that I get to is it's a test. It's a soul test. I mean, if you're God and you're seeing what's going on with your creation, and Satan is real and all that has happened and all that's real, you know. At least like in a sense, or like to a level, to a point, then it would make sense to me that you would have to intervene at some point and either change the rules of the game or change the game. Which I suppose you could argue is like, depending on how it went down, that could be like almost an admission of defeat on God's part. If he had to like alter the game so that Satan wouldn't succeed. I mean, if Noah was the only one and the rest of them were all murdering psychopaths or some shit and the place has gone to shit and it was all full of like chimeras and mutants and hybrids and stuff, and then he's like, alright, I gotta fucking intervene, and intervenes and floods everything and kills everything, and Noah's the only one that's left, doesn't that mean that Satan was about to win? Like, I don't know, like. But then again, I mean, like, I don't know if the Christian narrative, I think it's allegory and metaphor for a more sophisticated and potentially complicated truth. Like, I think there actually could be multiple gods creating multiple. I don't see why there only has to be one divine creator. I've said this before. Like I don't see why. Like if there's an entity that can manipulate matter, create compartmentalized spaces that experience linear time, like all this stuff, like why does he have to be the only one that can do that? Like, could it not just be like a species, just like we are human and then there's whales and then there's cows and insects? Couldn't there just be angels and demons and then above that gods? And gods are like pure consciousness and they just have a purpose or whatever. And because they're eternal, like they just are. And I suppose then you run into the problem of like, all right, but where did it all begin? It's like if everything cycles, is there a beginning and an ending? Or is everything just, it just is, you know? Which is almost kind of harder to comprehend, where you're like, hold on, so it never started and it's never going to stop? That, how? That's where you get into the realm, I think, of like, it is beyond your comprehension kind of thing, where it's like you probably have to have some kind of divine experience for your mind to be able to comprehend how it works. And then, even then, if you did comprehend how it worked, you might fucking go mad, like. God is omnipotent and omnipresent. We can't fathom his magnitude or the way the creator does things. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, you know, that like our comprehension only goes so far, you know. I mean, like, think about it. I mean, you can find like we're literally compartmentalized like that in our own species, where there's like a bunch of us. There's a bunch of humans who know a shit ton of stuff that the rest of the humans don't know. So they may as well be gods, you know, in a sense. You know, which kind of like, no wonder they go, a lot of them go on like absolute demons, because you'd feel like a fucking god if you had that kind of power and responsibility. If you could just wake up in a given day and alter the fate of an entire country. Do you know what I mean? It'd be crazy, like. Owen Benjamin did a bit about that 5 years ago. Yeah, so he did do a bit about that specifically, yeah. Joe Rogan. And was that the Lucifer bit where he's like, you know, it never stops, it's a whisper or some shit. It was a really good video. The devil never stops or something. It was a really, really good video. The snake, you know, like, it's brilliant, the whispers. Yeah, like I've said that a few times now. I think there's so many truth communities now. Like that's a really good thing. I think that's an excellent thing. That like it does appear that the pendulum is swinging. It does appear that the pendulum is swinging, which is great. It's something to be like overwhelmingly positive about. That there are plenty of us out there that are like, no, I want to be good and I want to fight evil, and I know what good is and I know what evil is, and fuck all these demons. You know. We'll send them back to hell one by one if we have to. There's plenty of us like that. You know. But we are outnumbered. But I think that's the nature of light. Light is always outnumbered by dark. You know. When you think about it, that's what it means to be on the side of righteousness and light. Is that you will be outnumbered and you will be hated and you will be mocked and mainly hated. You know, I say mocked. I mean, if you're really gonna mock something, it has to be funny. But like, a lot of those cunts aren't funny. You get some evil bastards who are genuinely pretty funny. I agree. I agree, like, why allow all this madness to continue, but I believe a change is coming. Age of Aquarius is upon us. 2 Acre, huh? I never thought of that. What was that about? What did you never think of? Did I say something or somebody else say something? Yeah, I've heard the whole we're moving through Aquarius into like the fucking... I really want to get my celestial profile done by Chris Gardner. I find that stuff fascinating. Can be changed for really good or total destruction. There is no middle ground. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff of like, we are literally in like a precipice of like a milestone of like loads of stuff is about to change. Loads of power is about to change hands. Lots of like the fundamental ways of how society is run and how it works and how people think and stuff and all, like, you know, like loads of stuff is about to drastically change, and COVID was only the beginning. And we're about to see some mental shit, which is what leads me to the belief that we are going to see like I'm 30 now, so roughly if I'm really lucky and like healthy or whatever, I'll see another 70, 60-ish years, right? We might see a time where they're using something like nanotechnology to rapidly build hive cities where they just have all of these like cloned people who are patented and owned by corporations. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we've gotten to a point where they almost don't need consent anymore, which is a bit scary, you know? Because I agree with Owen and I agree with Tom Burnett and Chris, where like everything, all of this is consent based. You have to want it. Like, you have free will. You can choose to be whatever. I completely agree. However, we are approaching a point where their deception and technology and scheming has gotten us to a point where they don't need us to fall for their trap. They've gotten enough of us and they've gotten enough out of us that they could like artificially survive off of, well, not artificially, they could survive off of a lesser form of human for a long time. But eventually they'll need, like, for want of a better term, like pure breeds, all right? But like, I'm not saying that like just because you got a vaccine during COVID that you're not a pure breed. I don't believe in all that shit, like purebloods and stuff. Like, I got vaccines when I was a child. I don't know what was in them. Like, do you know what I mean? I was pretty sick when I was a kid and stuff like that. Like, I think vaccines are poison. I think it's a fucking mad shit. Like, I don't think you should be injecting anything into yourself. There's a reason your skin is a barrier. You know, you shouldn't be perforating it. But like, I think we can see a time where there's just cities that are essentially like the Matrix. You know, for want of a better description, is like, you just have, there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of robots, a lot of synthetic shit, and you have these people who are kind of not really alive. They're just functioning, you know? And like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like tatted up with like barcodes and shit from birth. Like, they could start growing humans if they haven't done it already. You know, they could just start growing humans and be like, well, it is ethical, we own them. Like, they're not actually human. You know, they're humans. You know, like, they're smart humans. You know, like I could totally see a time like that where it's like a company comes out and it's just like, because like some random person could just sell them, like, as far as I know, was it like fucking Beyonce, Katy Perry, like, there's a few of them out there, and like they literally are like owned like a product in their contract or some shit, from what I've heard. And then when you see all the stuff about the GMOs and the vegetables and all the shit, where it's like, if they genetically modified it and then patent it, they legally own it, you know? So if they find some of their patented tomatoes on your land, you know, they can get into a legal dispute and be like, oh, fucking, you're growing our shit and all that shit. Like, it's all very, 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 very cunning and deceptive and underhanded and horrible and demonic. But it is happening. So I could see a time where we have all these humans that are like essentially GMO humans, and they're only allowed in like smart cities and stuff. Like, they won't be allowed to leave the pen. Even though I think we're in that already. Like, I think we're not allowed to leave the pen. And I think the pen is the ice wall, you know. And like, I say I think because I don't believe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I saw shit that was like to the contrary, I'd be like, oh, so that's what's going on? Holy fuck. You know, like, but I just love talking about this shit. Who doesn't? Like, do you know? Enter the age of Aquarius. Every 2,500 years we enter a new age, like the star charts, etc. I don't understand it all. I'm a newbie to astrology. Yeah, me too, but it's fascinating. It's all cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles, and I mean cycles as in circles. Like the whole Prague clock thing, that makes a lot of sense to me. Where the sun and the moon, there could be multiples, but like, if you just take like a conceptual framework in your mind, where like you imagine the plane, you know, a level plane, not flat. Fucking retards. Like, stop calling it flat Earth, and maybe you won't get so much fucking shit for it. Like, it's not flat, it's level. Or what did Witsi Gets it call it? Plain Earth. Like, you're getting there, you know. Like, just get away from the name flat Earth, because it's fucking retarded. Because like, that's why most people are like, it's flat. What do you mean it's flat? You know, like, it's not flat. It's clearly not flat, but like, it's definitely not a ball, from what I can tell anyway. But like a level plane, and then it's, in order to have gas pressure you need a container. So I think we're surrounded by some form of liquid or water. You know, water's above, water's below. I think we're surrounded by a phase or form of water, and that bubble that we exist in allows this plane to function. Now, is there a top and a bottom? I'd say so. And if as above, so below is true, I think what's probable is that there is actually an upside down. You know? I think there's like a portal somewhere, or there's like multiple portals. There's probably entryways where you go down a bit and then you end up coming up. And there's like a point where it like switches, you know? And it's probably very dangerous, you know? I can imagine it does all sorts of mad shit to your body. I don't know if you'd survive it. Kind of be like going into a wormhole or some shit, like, do you know what I mean? Or it could be like a gravity well, you know? Now, I use the term gravity loosely, you know? It could just be like a funnel of varying levels of density, you know? Kind of like oil and water and shit, like. But yeah, I think there could be an under earth. As well as like more land, like to the left of us and the right of us, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think you could go over the ice wall and there's more land and shit like that, but I think you can go down too. Or maybe you can't go down, you can only go over. Maybe there is an edge and you go over the edge somehow. I don't fucking know, you know? Like, when I seen those floating mountains in Avatar, those floating magnetic mountains, I was like, that's real. Like, I remember seeing it in the cinema. I was like, that's not science fiction. That's fucking real. That feels on a primal level like that could happen. That you would have like giant mountains like floating and shit, like. And then they do something similar in the Kong movie and stuff like that. Like, there was like an inner Earth. It wasn't like an under Earth. It was like an inner Earth. But like under could be inner. I don't fucking know. Like, it's all just speculation. I wouldn't mind because I believe we have dominion over them and they're here for our use. Yeah, like that's actually one of the reasons why I think we were made, not by God, but by something else. I have this sneaking suspicion that we were made to keep an eye on the place and to tend this place like a garden, and we were left behind with the knowledge that whoever made us was going to return eventually. And I have a feeling they might be on the way back, and they're going to be really pissed because we haven't done a good job. I try and take pieces from everything and fill in my puzzle as they fit. Even if I don't agree with something, I try and learn info on it. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. There's this great guy that Chris Gardner and oh, what are they called? Oh, Groy Skepu. Not Old World Florida. What's the fucking other one? Innerverse. The Innerverse podcast regularly have a guest on called Gabriel, the Slick Dissident. Slick Dissident. Gabriel something. Fascinating individual who has created this thing called an Enneagram, where he has essentially correlated things like magical symbols, cultural symbols, gods, celestial celestial bodies, like fucking what are they called? Fucking star charts. Fucking what's the constellations? Famous people throughout history and modern times, and like mythological creatures. Like he has it all mapped out on how they all like relate to each other and where they originally came from and what they mean and all this shit. Like everything from tarot cards to. And it's all just like on this board in this big circle behind him. Like, it's fucking fascinating because the amount of things he's connected together. And you're like, no way, really? And like, he's just like, yeah, like, you know. And like, bless him, he has such an optimistic and like childlike wonder about him. Like, I love him. He's a really fascinating individual. Like. And that's how I like to think. Like, that's how I've done my thinking, esoterically or gnostically or whatever way you want to do it. Like, I've been like, okay, well, I don't know, so let's, like, all you can do is like speculate, and then like based on your experiences, like just be honest with yourself and shit. Like, but it's a fascinating undertaking, genuinely being like, okay, so what is true? And then going down all the rabbit holes and then being like, holy fuck, this place is a lot darker than I thought it was. You know, like, but at the same time, it's also a lot more beautiful, you know, like both things happen, you know. There is definitely a phase when you're going through the, in quotes, truther movement or like way of thinking. There is definitely a point where you're like, oh my god, this is a walking nightmare. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, but then you get past that and you're kind of like, oh no, this actually all makes perfect sense. You know, like, but there is a lot of people, most people, I definitely got it. Like, there's a point where you get to it and you're like, oh my god, this is so dark. You know, like, don't think that was a berry the deer ate before deep contemplation. Yeah, like, he's chewing on a particular cluster of mushroom, just starts tripping balls, and it's like, I can see God, and then you pull the trigger. That'd be a hilarious skit, like deer having like a fucking cosmic awakening and then just getting shot. Oh god. How did you find this place, Woo? How did you come across PEINTEINGU? He came here from the Elves chat. That's where he came from. I'm not just into the phenomenon. I played professional baseball and enjoy other things also. Oh, you play for professional baseball? Nice. That's cool as fuck. I've always wanted a baseball bat. You can't really get them here. Not a lot of shops sell them here because we have hurls. And like, don't get me wrong, a hurl's like way better than a baseball bat in loads of ways because it's like a fucking wooden blade and like it's got a big pan head on it and shit. Like, and like a hurl's great for lots of reasons. Like, but there's just something about a big club. You know, I'm like a caveman in that sense. Like, how funny is that? It's like I equally appreciate the sophistication and the engineering behind a katana, but then I also love baseball bats. You know, it's like the right tool for the right job. You know, like always interested in how the A-log and personal taste intersect. Always interested in how the A-log and personal taste intersect. Algo. Oh, right, algo. Yeah, the fucking algorithm. Yeah, that is quite fascinating, actually, to like see how vast the internet is. And then you have all these different fucking places that people go on the internet. And then how seemingly difficult it can be to like actually show up on the internet to like your average person, you know? It's weird, like. I love how I was thinking of the Silmarillion and then you brought it up. Yeah, man. Like, on the same wavelength, brother. So you're saying because I talk about other things outside of art and painting, I don't enjoy painting in conversation. What? Because I talk about other things outside of art and painting, I don't enjoy painting in conversation. Who said that? Who are you talking to, Woo? I think he was disappointed in the choices we made with our free will, and in a rage swiped his hand and tore it open and put it. Yeah, but like that's what I was saying earlier on. Is like, could you imagine if that's actually our God? Is like he's a bit of an emotional, you know, like he can get annoyed and do something that he could potentially regret, like wipe out an entire species. Like, I mean, that would be pretty real, you know, like if you were fucking like. What is it to be God? It's like, well, you know, you have the responsibility of creation itself, and if you have a hissy fit on a random Tuesday and you fucking end everything, like they're not doing what I want them to do, Mom. I'm gonna flood the place. Now, God, don't be like that. Like, Dude, that'd be lit as fuck. Are you just saying it'd be lit as fuck every time I'm saying that if you got up and Saint Michael was there and was like, right, let's get to work. Yeah, it would. It'd be awesome. It'd be so like. So you are into painting. Cool. Was wondering if the goo popped up in your feed. Oh, okay. How does it sound like? Oh, right. Okay. Always interested in how the analog and personal taste intersect. Oh, okay. All right. So Will was like, so what? Like, I can't find painting goo if I don't like painting. Man, like, a chat can so easily get so like confrontational, like, you know. Like, I was wondering if the goo popped up in your feed because of painting or gravy talk. It's like how I found Owen. I was looking into comedy and found Why Didn't They Laugh? Yeah, like I found Owen because I was like, what was it? Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro. Like I was looking at all the intellectual debate stuff because I'd lost faith in comedy. I'd lost faith in comedy because they'd all sold out. So I went from comedy to philosophy. Believe it or not. I got so depressed because I genuinely went through like a fucking like depressed suicidal stage because I was like, all I have in my life to genuinely make me laugh my fucking head off is stand-up comedy, and they're all cooking. They're all selling out. They're all cooking. They're not being funny because like they're, you know, scared or whatever. They're being told they can't say this and they can't say that, and they're complying. And I was just like, oh god. So I watched all of Jordan Peterson's lectures on like the story of Jesus and Pinocchio, and some heavy gravy in those lectures, man. Some fucking thick, hot, steaming gravy in those lectures. But he's a weirdo and a lunatic. But he has some fascinating shit to say and talk about in those lectures. And I watched like all of them, I think, at least on like the God series or whatever, like, and then I was watching Crowder. I think I'd seen Owen Benjamin before I started watching him on Crowder, but I couldn't remember where I'd seen him before. And then started watching him on Crowder. Didn't really like Crowder. Like, thought Crowder was okay. But I didn't really like how white he was. Like, you know, he's like, ooh. I know he's Canadian, but like still, I thought he was a bit of a fag. Like, and turns out he is. But yeah, I got really big into Owen. I think it was around. I can't remember what was the thing that made me like really go, this chap's like awesome. I can't remember the exact video or moment. Just like gradually got into it. Like I actually had a moment where I was watching Owen, one of Owen's streams, and my friend turned around to me at the time. He was like, "He's nuts," and I was just like, "You think?" And he was like, "Yeah, like he's nuts." Like, and I was just like, And I remember like feeling in that moment, I was like, I knew that like I wasn't going to be hanging around with the same people that I was hanging around at that time for much longer. Because I was already changing mentally, spiritually, physically. And then Owen and the Bears was like a catalyst for me to be like, no, yeah, I'm right. Like the mindset I'm leaning in towards is like, yeah, this is where I belong. And it went that way, like. And I'm so glad I did. Like, despite everything that happened with the fucking, you know, Irish Bear Group and, you know, the Jort Wars and all that shit, like, you know, fucking, I don't regret any of it. I had some great camping trips, met some fucking wild people. And I've made some great friends out of it, like, you know. And painting goo wouldn't be a thing if I hadn't done that and all, like, so. No regrets. Fascinating shit. Cycles within cycles. So we're in the... Yes, life is essentially the Tour de France. Like, you see, my son, you can describe life as simply a Tour de France. It's just seconds, it is seconds, if it is seconds. You're saying cycles or circles? Is it seconds, is it seconds, is it seconds? It's simply seconds. Yeah, Slick Dissident has some mind-blowing concepts expressed in a playful way. Yeah, I love listening to him talk about it. I'd watch Slick Dissident just constantly. I think he has his own channel and stuff, obviously, does he? Like, I'll have to check him out one time. I've only ever seen him on Innerverse and stuff, and I'm always like, this dude's awesome. Like, just the way he thinks about shit and all, like, it's deadly. Like, that there is the strongest argument for an actually feminine supreme deity. I mean, the story of him getting angry and wiping. Are you serious? Corbear, a female would be so much worse. Think about it for fun. Come on, be real, like, you know. A female would be so much worse. A female would do mad shit, like, and it wouldn't even be like. The argument, like, so the concept is that stuff was getting so degenerate, and Noah was one of the only fucking, you know, honorable men, and God was like, right, fuck all this shit, and like, in anger, flooded the place and tore the sky open. That's the story, right? And you're like, yeah, that's the best argument I've ever heard for God should have been a woman. Are you for real? It would have been so much worse. It would have been so much worse. Somebody could have just stood on a flower on a particular day and she would have fucking lost her shit. You know, like, a supreme feminine deity, like, we wouldn't be here. We were like, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, that bitch was on the rag and ended everything. And with that, I'm gonna call it a day. I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours just talking shit. Oh god. If you have enjoyed today's Painting Goo, consider supporting the stream. The links are in the description. Paying for Painting Goo is considered the honourable thing to do. I hope you enjoyed today's ramblings. As you can see, we still have much work to do in Germany with this castle located in the beautiful Lichtenstein. Or, as we call it here on Painting Goo, Lichtenstein! You know I'm right, bitch. You know I'm right, Corbear. A yapping good time. Like, the bitch would have fucking wilded out over the slightest thing and ended existence, like, long ago. Oh god. But we love them. We love females for their irrational behaviour. I lie. That's not why we love them. We love them because of things like arses and tits and soft flesh and fucking sex and stuff and singing. Females are great at singing. Love singing, you know. Thinking and being accountable and responsible for things apart from children? No, never. Never heard of this Slick Dissident. We'll check him out. Someone posts oh yeah, I'll fucking post something in Telegram later or some shit. You could probably just type him into YouTube. I don't know, like, but yeah, he's cool. Slick Dissident's cool. Gabriel. I don't know if I've ever heard his second name, but yeah, he's fucking awesome. He's a close friend of Gardner and Chance and the Innerverse crowd and all that. You misunderstood, but it is funnier this way. Much love and rapture to you. I'll take you at your word and that I misunderstood. You can explain it to me more thoroughly in the Telegram. But I must bid you adieu. I'm over time, and I have shit to do. I need to eat. I had a workout earlier on. My muscles are torn, and they need nutrients. It's a beautiful It's a beautiful painting. It's a beautiful painting, and it's not even finished. You know, which is why you should pay for Painting Goo. Right. I wish you all well. I wish you all adieu, my beloved Japanites, and you, the rest of you, 30 mortals. I am the Painting Goo posse, Mini Beru, Tobias, Beakus Kroos, Brother Garos in the corner there, who always reminds you to Riker and subscriber to Painting Goo, or you have no honor, you filthy dogs! Riker and subscriber and share a Painting Goo. Realm wide. Do all the stuff. That and Myro the monkey. Everybody say goodbye to Myro the monkey. Everybody say goodbye to beautiful Myro the monkey. Right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place, same high octane, perhaps painting energy. In the meantime, be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I'll see you tomorrow. Farewell, much love. Bye bye. Toodles.